Well, the Ravens continue their fourth quarter collapses with another one against the Giants. I figured it should be, maybe it could be an interesting video to dive into this game, see what exactly went wrong. Why did they collapse the way they did? This is now 3 games that they've had double-digit leads and blew it in. So let's talk about what happened. So first, to talk about how a collapse happens, we have to talk about, well, how did the team get up by 10 points in the first place? And a lot of what the Ravens were able to do was they really held the Giants offense in check throughout most of this game. In the Giants' first 5 possessions, they had just 7 points. In their first 7 possessions, they had just 10 points. One of those possessions was at the end of the half where they only were able to have time to run 2 plays. But still, that's where they were at. So what did they do well? And it felt like it was stuff like this, where it's a zone coverage play that the Giants are going up against, that the Ravens are in here. And the Giants are going to run a play action and try to get players out of position, try to get somebody open. You have a good running game. That's kind of what the offense is built around. They don't have the best passing game, so they, set things up in the passing game by using their run. It's an old school approach. But listen, teams did it back then for a very valid reason. It's a way to move the ball down the field. And even though, yes, obviously it's more ideal to have a Patrick Mahomes who can just, sling it down the field, this is still a way that you can make stuff happen. However, when this play begins, you're going to see that right off the bat, there's just nothing open. This is good coverage by Baltimore, and this is how Baltimore was able to really get up in this game. The thing that was winning them this game early on was their coverage unit more than anything, which is something that's been a trend for the Ravens since as long as I can remember. Since the Ravens existed, seemingly, they've had great secondaries, and this is no exception. So, okay, no one's getting open. That's part of what they did to get up. So then what happened? What went wrong? What was the defensive shift that changed? What was what schematically did the Giants do to counteract what the Ravens were doing? It honestly wasn't really a scheme thing. Like, going over here, it's pretty simple, but sometimes it just comes down to execution. In this play, it's a different coverage that the Ravens are in, but they were mixing stuff up all game. They're playing sort of a buzz concept right here, trying to protect that middle of the field area. I'm reminded of a more dramatic comeback, certainly in the 28-3 game. A lot of people said, man, what did the Patriots do? What were what strategically did they do to finally crack through? It was really just their offense executed better in that fourth quarter. And that's kind of what happened with the Giants, is on this drive, which, again, it's not like they went down the field and scored 3 straight touchdowns or anything. They did score 2 straight touchdowns. One was due to a short field, which we'll get to in a second. But, they were just able to really put a solid drive together. Watch how when Jones takes a snap, he's going to look downfield, and this is Wan'Dale Robinson, who's just running a good route. It's a good route. It's not even that wide open or anything. But as you see, Damian Williams was not able to get there to make, play well in coverage, which has started to become a trend for the Baltimore Ravens. Robinson makes the grab, and they're able to just pick up a decent chunk play. And honestly, that was kind of the big play of that drive. It was a lot of just smaller plays, and they were able to put a good drive together and get the touchdowns. So, okay, your defense kept you in the game. Your defense isn't going to play perfect every series. Eventually, the Giants were able to get a touchdown drive. They did just enough to do that, but you're still up. And here's where the real collapse happened. So this is going to be the situation, and breaking down the play itself isn't really that important the concept itself, because it's going to be completely botched from the word go. But this is the situation, what you see on the screen, and it's the play. Spoiler alert if you're not sure what's about to happen. But it's a 3rd down and 5, and there's 3 minutes and 4 seconds left. So the Ravens convert here, you're in a very good chance you have a very good chance of winning this game. Even a punt, you still have a very good chance of winning this football game. However, right off the bat, it's a botched snap right there. I'm not exactly sure what happened. I'm not sure if Lamar just wasn't ready for it or what. But, he ends up picking it up and running and still has an opportunity to potentially make something happen. And you can kind of see why he wants to make this throw, right? You see how there is a window where he can try to fit this ball through. I understand the logic behind it. I think he just never saw that giant player. I really think that's what happened. I think he just missed that player, which, I just have to be honest. Big Lamar fan. Few people are bigger Lamar fans than me, but he's been making some mistakes, and in these collapses, he has been making some key mistakes. Lamar makes this throw, it does get intercepted, and this is a huge play in this football game. I mean, this is absolutely massive, and having kind of those splash plays that happen at the end for the Giants and having those splash plays go against the Ravens, those are huge, and that's how you can absolutely lose a football game that you were winning for most of it because of one or two of these mistakes. Even if they're understandable mistakes, an understandable mistake can be a huge swing in a football game. And like this one's another one where the Giants would then go down the field and score a touchdown to take the lead, but the Ravens still have an opportunity of their own to come back and potentially still win this football game. It's going to be man coverage, and watch what happens. Lamar takes the snap, and he is going to look down the field. Nobody is open, which is something that has become a bit of a trend for the Ravens over the years. Been less so this year, but, in previous years especially. But one of the things that Lamar has always been able to do effectively is when no one is open, he can make stuff happen. He's, the most electric runner in football, regardless of position. He's more electric than running backs. So, you're okay here, you would think, if you're the Ravens. However, Thibodeau is able to, from his blind side, at least from an area that Lamar was not ready to look at, knocks the ball out. That results in a Giants fumble. And those two plays were just the massive swings in the game that resulted in the Giants winning and the Ravens losing. I mean, that seems dramatic to look at two plays and say if those went differently, then the Ravens win. But if those go differently, the Ravens probably win. I mean, look at this chart. We're going to get to some analytics right here. So I know some people hate analytics, but this stuff is good. You'll like this, I'm pretty sure, even if you're not a huge analytics fan. These are the two plays I just talked about. The top one is going to be that interception, and then the bottom one is the fumble. Really look all the way over to the right. Those are the two important numbers to look at. Those are win percentage and EPA. So all the way at the right, we first have win percentage. Of the win percentage before that play and then the win percentage after that play. So the Giants went from having a 20% chance to win prior to that 3rd down and 5 to a 49% chance to win after it. So that's a 29-point jump in win percentage on one single play. As for the fumble, it was still very much a ball game. The Giants had a 72% chance to win, but it jumped up to 97% chance to win once that fumble happened. So again, massive swing. And then for the EPA, they were each over 5 points in estimated points added by those plays. So those are, that's 11 points between those two plays. That's how big of a swing those two plays are. So the reality is, why did the Ravens collapse? I think it's actually a lot simpler than maybe we might think. The Ravens collapsed because the Giants were able to execute a little bit better to get a touchdown drive late in the game, and then the Ravens had two horrible plays. That's literally the reason. There is no bigger reason than this. And again, just to be clear, you give the Giants credit for the great plays that they were able to make to set up those two massive swings, because it goes both ways. That's how they made the comeback, was they executed better, and then they made some huge splash plays at the end of the game. But for the Ravens, the reality is this stuff tends to be fluky. You don't expect it to keep happening, and the fact that it's happened 3 times for them, I think, is mostly a coincidence. They just have to cut down on these massive 5-point swing plays going against them. You can't have 2 5-point swing plays going against you in the last 3 minutes and 5 seconds. You're going to lose football games that way. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you think there's more to it than what I'm saying? Am I oversimplifying it? Or do you agree that it actually is pretty simple? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.